All right, everyone, buckle up, because today we're doing a deep dive on something, well, kind of juicy.
Juicy is a good word for it.
It's hypergamy.
Yeah.
Marrying up, gold digging, all that.
Yeah, we're going to try to get past those kind of loaded terms, though, and really get into, the nitty-gritty.
Exactly. And we've got some awesome research to pick apart today.
It's really interesting stuff.
So to kick things off, tell us about this study. Like, what's the deal with this research?
Well, hypergamy can be a sensitive topic.
Definitely.
And to be totally honest, a lot of the available research is, well, let's just say it leaves something to be desired.
Yeah, not exactly known for being super rigorous, right?
Right. So this study, they went for a purely economic lens.
I like it. Cut through the noise.
Exactly. Just let the data do the talking. And speaking of the data, it gets even more interesting.
Ooh, lay it on me.
So this all went down in Norway.
Norway. Wait, like the land of fjords
And basically tied with Iceland for the most gender equal country on Earth, yeah.
Seriously. Okay, so we're talking like progressive policies, social safety nets, the works.
Pretty much. So, if hypergamy is showing up even there in the data,
Huge implications.
huge.
Okay, I am so in. But how do you even begin to measure this stuff? Marrying up isn't exactly like a standardized unit of measurement.
Right, and that's what makes this study so cool. They got really creative.
Hit me with it.
So they had this massive data set from Norwegian administrative records.
Okay, we're talking like the really good stuff.
Oh yeah, birth records, marriage licenses, tax info, you name it.
Dang, they went deep.
All for this huge chunk of the population born between 1952 and 1975.
Wow. Big data meets like big questions about love and money.
And that's just the start.
There's more.
Oh, yeah. See, to figure out if hypergamy was really happening, they had to untangle cause and effect.
Oh, I see. So, like, did partnering with someone with higher earning potential lead to those economic outcomes, or was it the other way around? Chicken or the egg situation.
Exactly. So they needed a way to basically see into the future, statistically speaking.
Did they, like, invent a crystal ball for economists or something?
Well, not quite. What they did was focus on parental income as a predictor of an individual's potential income rank.
Interesting.
It's like your parents' economic standing, while not a perfect predictor, obviously, gives a pretty good indication of your own likely earnings down the line.
Makes sense, like a socioeconomic sneak peek. Okay, I think I get where we're going with this, but let's get to the good stuff.
The results.
Yeah. So did they find evidence of a hypergamy effect?
They did. 3 key pieces of evidence that suggest hypergamy is alive and well, even in a country like Norway.
Okay, spill the tea.
All right, so first they looked at partnering probability. Basically, who ends up married and who doesn't.
Okay, makes sense.
Men with higher earning potential and those whose parents had higher earnings were significantly more likely to be married.
Interesting.
Now, here's the kicker. The opposite was true for women.
Wait, so you're saying the higher a woman's earning potential?
The less likely she was to be married, yep.
Now that's fascinating and definitely not what I expected to hear. What's the thinking there? Why would that be?
It's one of the most interesting findings for sure, and it gets even wilder when you look at the second piece of evidence, multiple partners.
Okay, this you got here.
So men, especially those with higher earning potential, were more likely to have had multiple partners over their lifetime.
Hold on. So not only were they more likely to be married, but more likely to have been married multiple times, and women with higher earning potential were less likely to be married at all.
That's what they found.
Wow. That is, wow. Okay, so what about the dynamics within couples? Did they look at that?
They did. That's actually their third major finding. Across all income levels, men consistently ranked higher than their female partners in terms of earning potential.
Again, using that parental income measure.
Exactly. So even when you're controlling for things like individual career choices, men are still, on average, ending up with partners who have lower earning potential.
Man, there's a lot to unpack there.
There is. And that's where the study goes beyond just identifying the pattern of hypergamy.
It's not just about the what, it's about the why.
Exactly. And they actually explore 2 potential explanations: the fertility factor and the preference puzzle.
Okay, the fertility factor and the preference puzzle. Sounds like we're about to unlock some secrets of the heart, or at least the economics of attraction. Let's start with the fertility factor. What's that all about?
Well, it's potentially the more, yeah, definitely. It basically boils down to the biological clock. Women have a shorter window for having children, which could mean Well, it could mean that, statistically speaking anyway, there are more men back on the market after relationships end.
Okay, I'm following.
So that larger pool of available men, it kind of creates a different dynamic, maybe gives them an advantage when it comes to partnering up.
Yeah, I can see that. Like basic supply and demand almost.
Right. But like you said, it does feel a little simplistic to just leave it at biology, which is where the preference puzzle comes in.
Yeah, that one really piqued my interest. Tell me more.
This is where it gets really juicy. Remember, we're dealing with potential income here, not necessarily what someone's currently making.
Right, it's all about that future earning power.
Exactly. So the question is, are there like deep-seated preferences, maybe even subconscious ones, that influence who we're drawn to?
Like stuff you can't always put your finger on, but it's still driving your decisions, even in love.
Exactly. So to get at those preferences, they use this really cool technique called a vignette.
A vignette. Okay, now I know we're getting into some science-y stuff. Break it down for me.
Okay, so imagine you're shown a profile of a potential partner, right? You learn a little about their personality, what they're into, their career goals, all that.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
Now imagine the researchers show you two versions of this profile, identical in every way,
Except for...
except for the person's earning potential. One version, they're on track to be a high earner, the other, not so much.
Oh, that's smart.
Mm.
By isolating that one variable, they can see how much it actually influences people's perceptions.
Exactly. So what did they find? Well, women were consistently more likely to be interested in the higher earning potential version, even when everything else was the same.
Wow, really? So even when you strip away all the other stuff we find attractive, that earning potential factor still holds a lot of weight for women.
It seems so. Now, of course, the big question is why? Is it nature or nurture? Hardwired or learned from society?
Yeah, like, is this an evolutionary thing? Or just a reflection of the world we live in?
That's the million-dollar question, and honestly, this study doesn't really answer it.
Ah, bummer. I was hoping for some grand unified theory of attraction.
Wouldn't that be nice? This study is more about the what, not the why. It shows there is a difference in how men and women view earning potential in a potential partner, but it doesn't dig into the root causes. More research needed, for sure.
Always. Okay, so let's take stock. We've got these intriguing findings about hypergamy happening in, let's be real, one of the most gender-equal countries out there. So what's the takeaway? What are the real-world implications of all this?
Right. We got to connect these findings to the bigger picture.
Absolutely.
And for me, I think it challenges some assumptions about gender equality.
How so?
Well, even in a society that supposedly leveled the playing field, we're seeing these deeper economic and social forces at play shaping how we choose partners.
And that has a ripple effect, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about who we swipe right on.
Exactly. So even in 2024, with all our supposed progress, these patterns are still very much alive and well.
And impacting society in real, concrete ways. Like how? Give me some specifics.
Well, for one, it suggests this whole hypergamy thing could be contributing to that pesky gender pay gap.
Wait, seriously? I thought we were making progress on that front.
We are, but it's proving to be super persistent. And this research adds another layer of complexity.
So how does hypergamy factor in exactly? Connect the dots for me.
Well, think about it. If women are, on average, partnering with men who have higher earning potential,
Which, based on this study, seems to be the case.
right, then it stands to reason that within those couples, the woman is more likely to be the one who maybe takes more time off work to raise kids or works part-time or whatever because...
Oh, the man is already bringing in more money.
Exactly. So you can see how that might contribute to the gap.
Makes you think. So hypergamy could be one of the reasons it's so hard to close that gap, even with all the policies and initiatives and everything.
It's definitely a possibility. But it doesn't stop there. Remember that finding about men at the lower end of the earning potential spectrum being less likely to be married.
Yeah, that one was kind of a gut punch, honestly. What are the implications of that?
Well, it makes you wonder if hypergamy could be one of the factors driving the trend of more men remaining unmarried than women, especially in certain income brackets.
And that's a whole other can of worms, right? It's all interconnected.
Exactly. It highlights how individual choices, like who we partner with, can have these broader societal consequences.
And it creates a kind of feedback loop, doesn't it? It's like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy almost. Lower earning potential makes it harder to find a partner, and then not having that partner, well, that can impact your economic prospects even more.
It's a cycle, for sure, deeply intertwined with, social and economic realities.
It's kind of blowing my mind, honestly. You think about hypergamy, and it's easy to dismiss it as like this outdated thing, something from a Jane Austen novel.
Right, like a relic of the past.
Yeah. But this research is like, nope, it's still here,
Right.
still a factor. Even in these societies we consider like super progressive.
And that's the thing, right? It reminds us that gender equality isn't just like a finish line you cross.
It's a work in progress, always.
Exactly. And the most interesting stuff, the stuff that really gets you thinking, it's often the stuff we don't talk about.
No doubt. Okay, so this study was all about Norway, right? What about other parts of the world? I think these findings would hold up.
I'd love to see someone repeat this study in like a dozen different countries.
Right. Imagine the comparisons.
Total gold mine. Different cultures, different social norms, economic realities, even just like different ways of dating and approaching relationships. Would we see these same patterns? Would they be more intense in some places? Less intense? So much to learn.
And what about technology? I mean, dating apps have totally changed the game.
Right. It's a whole different ballgame.
Do you think those apps, with all their emphasis on profiles and like
Yeah.
instant judgments, could they be making this hypergamy effect even stronger?
It's possible, right? I mean, you're boiling people down to these bite-sized profiles. Swiping left, swiping right could be amplifying existing biases.
Or maybe even creating new ones?
Exactly. But then you could also argue that these apps challenge traditional norms too, right? Like you're connecting with people from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different socioeconomic statuses, in ways that maybe wouldn't have happened before.
It's true. Loving the time of algorithms, who knows what's really going on. Well, on that note, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for walking us through this research. I feel like we've all learned a ton.
My pleasure. Always fun to dig into these complex issues, get people thinking a little differently about the world.
Couldn't agree more. And for everyone listening, if you want to go even deeper on this, and trust me, it's worth it, we've got a link to the full research paper in our show notes.
Check it out.
Until next time, keep those brains buzzing, and we'll see you on the next Deep Dive.